Hello everyone, so you're joining me on a bit of a walk locally. I'm in Ollerton Pitwoods, the site of the former colliery. It closed back in 1994, almost 30 years ago now since production stopped here. Now we're just going to have a bit of a walk, a bit of a look back on the past 12 months, and I'm going to pick out my 5 favourite videos, walks, explores, whatever they are, and talk about them a little bit as we go along. And whilst doing that, there are a few bits and bobs around this area that's worth a little bit of a look at, so it's not just going to be me rambling on and talking endlessly looking at this mug of mine for the next 15 minutes or so. So this is what it looks like up top. This is one of the spoil heaps from the former colliery, and it's now a beautiful woodland. There is actually deer in there. I've seen them before, not today. I've just had a bit of a nosy, and as you can see, completely forested off on that side and ahead. We've got Ollerton down there, old Ollerton over there, new Ollerton over there, and off towards Rufford Abbey in that direction. But of course, all you can see is trees. So I'm going down this way. But first of all, I'm going to talk to you about my 5th favourite explore and video. And that was a trip down the former Great Central Railway's Mansfield Road Tunnel in Nottingham. And at 1,189 yards and closed in the late 1960s, it fed into Nottingham Victoria Railway Station, which closed a couple of years before. I had the opportunity to go and do this with Andrew from ALW Exploration or Research Team. I always get that mixed up. It's his research team now, isn't it? Sorry, Andrew. And we went down there, so I'm going to show you a few bits and bobs of that, and then I'll join you a little bit further down where we cross the High Marnham Network Rail test track. So that was great to have a brief look back at Mansfield Road Tunnel, number 5 in my top 5 of visits, explores, videos for 2022. So coming up down here, I'm going to show you, there used to be a former track bed down there. So all that recent housing estate just there, and it used to join on to the former Midnots Railway. It went off towards Billsthorpe and Farnsfield. Now, down there, the other side of these buildings, we've got the current Network Rail test track, and we're coming up to a bridge, and we will briefly get onto this former track bed which shot from down there, and it ended up going into the sidings of the former Ollerton Colliery. So just down here, I'm going to navigate this mud as we leave the pit woods, and I'll see you at the bridge. So this is that former railway bridge. Now excuse the wind please. So the railway used to go straight down there where the housing estate is. If I jump up here, there we go, that's the route of the test track off towards Shirebrook, and over on that side that would have taken you to the former High Marland power station, closed 2003, and eventually also onto Lincoln back in the day. Now this route, it went straight off up there before curving round a little way, and there was a row of sidings, and the main colliery structure and buildings were all over on that side. So one of the most significant developments in a very, very long time in the disused railway world, or railway heritage, that happened in early 2022 was the official opening to the public of the long disused Bennerley Viaduct, part of the former Great Northern Railway's Derbyshire-Staffordshire extension, closed in the 1960s, and although you could get on there and go from one side to the other prior to the opening, it was pretty unsafe to do so, and you did it at your own risk. I've done it a few times myself, as some of you might know, but it also made for some great photography. But now the full length of the viaduct has had some decking put down. It's got like accessible ramp at one end and steps at the other, and just about anybody and everybody, even on your bike, wheelchair users, can get up there and take in the sights and the splendour of the Derwent Valley down below and enjoy the views for yourself. Let's take a little look at a few images from that, and this is number 4 in my top 5 of 2022. So we're at the top now and onto the main event. We get to cross over what is a short bridge section. You can see it's been safety fenced, it's double fenced on both sides, look, so there's no threat of any issues with the active railway line below. We're going to get across here, and then we're going to get ourselves onto this iron giant. Now most viaducts back in the day were built by brick, but because of coal mining in the area and the risk of subsidence, the reason to use wrought iron was thought to be beneficial because it was a much lighter material. So here's our beautiful, beautiful Bennerley Viaduct, look. It's 1,452 feet in length, and it is also 60 feet and 10 inches above the River Erewash. You can see that just down there, look. So the decking, that's been put down to traverse the 526 iron troughs that go the full length of the viaduct, and it is in like a central position right now. I do believe later on they are going to do the full width, and it will become fully walkable from left to right all the way across. But before this decking was put down, this is all you had to walk on, so you basically stand on these and, you know, straddle your way across 526 of these iron troughs, but thankfully we can get ourselves back onto this, well, very, very useful and appealing decking. So that was Bennerley Viaduct number 4 in my top explores and visits from 2022. I have to find a reason to go back there and have a look at that at a later time. So I'm right next to the former Lancashire Derbyshire East Coast Railway, which is now the High Marlham Test Track just there. We've got another spore heap there of Ollerton Colliery. It closed in 1994, and I'm following the path forward. I'm going to take this opportunity to thank all channel members for the support this year, and anybody else that's contributed in any way. It's much appreciated. You can join and support this channel by clicking the become member or join button on the main YouTube page. You can also buy me a coffee or a donut, anything like that. It's all appreciated. All goes back into this, what I'm doing right now, and it will also help me go on to places in 2023 as well, something that I'm going to talk about very, very soon. So I'm in an open area of the former Ollerton Colliery, so you're going to pick up some wind, but it's quite an appropriate spot to show you before we move on to number 3. If I point the camera through there, you can just make out there's some former disused rail lines. They've got the main track behind for the test track. You see the shiny ballast, but just there are some railway tracks going along there, and they are remaining relics from the former Ollerton Colliery that we're walking around the site of now. If I bring you over here, you might be able to make out a little bit more. There's some point work through there, look. You see that just there? The old post, and then across there you've got tracks which used to carry the coal trains coming in and out of this former colliery. As we're talking about colliery, old railway tracks and former coal workings, top 3 of my top 5 is in fact the area I did. It's actually about 3 videos around about Kirkby and Ashfield near Mansfield in Nottinghamshire, where we explored all those areas. The former Great Central Railway cutting from the former Annesley Tunnel. We've got the lines that serve Bentinck Colliery. We've got the former Pinxton Railway. We've got the junctions, culverts, and even that strange cascade. It was like a cascade for water, wasn't it? That brought down parts of the River Erewash and went underneath the former Great Central Railway before it shot off towards Chesterfield and Sheffield. So this is where it's about to get a whole lot of interesting. So obviously we could not find any remnants of Annesley Tunnel portal. We've got the Nottingham to Worksop line, but this would have been where Kirkby South Junction was. And down here, I think we're going to find something extraordinary. I think we're going to find our deep, long cutting. Also at this point down here, the Great Central line split into 2. So on the left hand side, it would have headed off towards Sheffield, and on the right hand side it was going to take the line off towards Mansfield and Clipston. So let's engage with this little bit of pathway and see what we're about to find. And look at this, there's our Great Central cutting just down there, and that's the infilled cutting taking us back towards Annesley Tunnel. And our route down appears to be on the right hand side, so I think that's where I'm going to go. Let's make our way down. This is extraordinary, isn't it? Look at that stone walling all the way along. Looking at maps, I believe this is about 1/4 of a mile before it hits the Pinxton and Mansfield Railway further down. This is extraordinary, isn't it? I bet it's very rarely trodden by anyone, more likely wildlife. Let's get down further still, and I'm going to see how far I can actually get along here. because it appears to be severely flooded down the bottom. So as I say, the line split into two, to the left off towards Sheffield, bypassing Bentinck Colliery, where we're going in the third part of this small series of videos, and on the right hand side taking us off towards Mansfield and Clipston. Look at this is amazing. It's like a refuge in the retaining wall. That is remarkable, isn't it? So you can imagine this is all silted up and weeded up a lot, so it would have gone down a hell of a lot more. What a surprise. So it's great to look back on that former load of railway history around Kirkby and Ashfield near Mansfield in Nottinghamshire. There is still a few bits to go back for there as well, which I'm hoping to do in the new year, which I don't see why I shouldn't. I've not done much in Nottingham for a long time for one reason or another. I don't know why, because I'm still living in Nottinghamshire. I just keep being attracted to things away from Nottinghamshire which are very appealing and I just get excited about. And we'll move on to one of those, which is going to be number one. But first of all, we've got number two to take a look at. But before that, quick shout out to a few people. Got to start off with the parents, always been there, so you get the very first thank you for being there continuously through this year, and I'll be back down to see you soon because you live in Norfolk and there's plenty of stuff to still do in Norfolk, so I'm going to be doing that very soon. Martin Masola, you've been poorly recently, but I know you're on the mend now, and thank you very much for your support. Another Martin Brewing, you know, always good for a chat, and you know, I haven't seen you for a while, but we'll have to catch up. And who else is there? Oh, Richard and Helena. I'm doing something with you next week. You should have seen this film before. I do meet you next week. There's too many names to think about. If I think about them later on, I'm sorry if I've not said it yet, but I'll say it before the end of this video if I do think about it. Oh, Mike Burland and family, got to give you a really cracking shout out. You've been awesome this year, and you know, plenty of stuff to do going forward. So right next to the test track, there used to be a railway bridge going across there and shooting over there. That was the former Mid-Knots Railway. It shot off again towards Farnsfield. We mentioned that earlier on in the video. But yeah, plenty of names to mention still, hopefully, if I can remember them. And also, there's still stuff to do in Nottingham, and that brings us on to number two, my second favourite. Oh, this is very bad, isn't it? Okay, I don't really fancy going that way. Let's see if I can get around here. Cool, that mud's just added a bit of suspense, hasn't it, to number two. Oh, there's some ballast down here, look. Look at that. Some old ballast, so clearly for those former tracks that we saw earlier on. So we stood on former track beds. See what a bit of mud and diversion and confusion brings is a little bit more of a discovery, and I've basically done that, and I just need to get around here. Back to number two, and it actually appeared that I was walking through a lot of number two just then. Number two is the former river or stream that went below Nottingham, the 2 mile long culvert that we need to go back and have a look at. We went and visited this again with Andrew from ALW research team. There we are, got it right this time. And we followed it all the way up as far as we could, but we do need to go back and finish this off. Let's take a look. So I'm beside the River Trent. There it is, look at that, absolutely beautiful. And I've come to a place I've been wanting to come to for about 7 or 8 months, but because of the winter, higher water levels on the Trent, we've been unable to do it. But I've been plotting this for a long time, and it's a very little known lost river which appears on the River Trent, and its source is the other side of Nottingham. It's almost 2 miles long, and you need the waders for this, but only for this first part, because later on it should get very round, very Victorian. And there's a stone marker up there which was laid by a Mr. Alderman Turney in 1884, and he was the chairman of the General Works and Highways Committee back in the day. You're not as old as 1884, are you?
No.
So Andrew's here again.
Hello.
And we've been mustering this one up for a while, haven't we?
Yeah.
You see the water is nice and calm, and I'm going to spin around and show you exactly what we're looking at. So if we go over here on this rickety ground, you can see where it appears at the Trent. So Trent Bridge is that way and Collick and Newark is that way. If I spin you around and get very close to the edge, I can see the bottom as well. Look at that. That's our culvert, and it looks absolutely astonishing. Now you can see the water level isn't as high as it could have been. It's dropped since I did a little test here with a probing stick about a month or so ago. So I'm quite happy with that. So what do you reckon? Have a bit of a jump down?
Yeah, let's do it.
Right. So we don't think we're going to get to do all of this because it gets that narrow near the source. You'd probably have to crawl, and I don't want to crawl. I don't want to get my backside stuck. So I'm going to get my lights and get in. So I don't know if you could quite make it out, look, but you can see the bottom. It's pretty clear and it's brick lined. And when I came here a month or so ago, I couldn't see anything. It was very murky, and it must have been about another foot deeper than this. Although you can't really make it out on camera, there are watermarks where how deep it does come up. Because you've got to remember, this comes because it's a flood, so it's going to back up. But there's no rain forecast today, so we'll be absolutely fine. Mum, I'm going for a bath. This could be quite nice, you know, because it's quite warm. Whoa, here we go. It's a bit slippy, but it's all right. Right, I'm in, and it's quite fresh. It's not icy cold,
No,
but it feels nice, and I've not had any fish nibbling at me yet. So that's our view around. If I grab, I don't need death ray at the minute because it's actually lighted up quite well.
I'd like first.
But your feet will move forward a bit because it is slippy, but it's not. But you can still keep your hands on the. Oh, it's just nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
Not so bad.
No.
Oh, it's slippy, isn't it? It's all like algae.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're in, viewers. And that's where we're going to next. There, that's the River Trent. And we've got to go down the centre line here because the base.
So that's it. That's the Trent, and I'm stood in the Beck Burn. It's a lost hidden river, and we're going to follow it now. He's already on his way in. It doesn't really smell. It's all right so far, and you can see the depth. Look, so you can see it's not quite come up to my waist. But there are various watermarks from where it does go, but I can't go to the edge because it is a curved brick bottom. It is indeed very, very slippy. So the further we go in, I shall be lighting it up. I've got the floodlight and I've got death ray. So we're going to leave our tunnel behind. Look at this, not a lot of water at all now. We're going to leave it behind and go into this. Look at this. It's round. Oh, there's a set of stairs there as well, look. So there's going to be another manhole up there. Might even be another geocache up there. But that is lovely. That's what I like to see. Whoa, so it's a bit slippy in this one, guys. And it's very, very echoey. So if I sound like a Dalek, it's just the way the sound is reverberating around me. It's very slippy this when you come in.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
So that was number 2, my top 5 of 2022, the Nottingham Beck Culvert. Absolutely brilliant down there, loved it. Had it on my radar since October 2021. Couldn't do anything about it until at least the spring of 22 because of water levels of the Trent making it too high, therefore making the Beck too high going in at the entrance coming off the Trent. But at the end, as you said, you know, we climbed that shaft, but there was more to do, so we'll come back for that. Now, plans going forward 2023, pretty much the same really. I'd appreciate you commenting some requests down below, places to go, especially Nottingham. As I say, we need to do a lot more in Nottingham. I've got almost 2 weeks off in January and I plan to go a few places. I'm sort of investigating North Yorkshire. I've looked at Wales, but I want to wait till the longer days and warmer weather for Wales. But there is still stuff to go back for Wales for, because I did enjoy it up there doing the old Festingio line and that bomb storage thing as well. That was really, really good. So plenty to go back up for in Wales. I've looked at Scotland as well. I do need to go back to Scotland, like in the Highlands. Not been there since 2019 when I first started doing this. And we also need to, people always say I should collaborate more, so if you want to do that with me, drop me a message. We'll see if we can sort something, both new and old. Let's crack on and do that. Lincolnshire, still only ever done one video in Lincolnshire. Yeah, I'm pretty much, it's on my border, isn't it? Because we've got, you know, the test track here that goes off towards Lincoln, or it did do back in the day. And I've only ever done Bennerley Tunnel, and that was also, I think that was 2020. It was just after we all came out of lockdown the first time and did that. Other places to go. I've never been down the south to do any of this. I've done stuff before, as you know. I did Brighton last year. Was that the year before? No, that was last year. But that's all I've done. There's so much, especially in the southwest. Old mines, caves, tunnels, railways, historical stuff, historical buildings, old villages and things like that. That would be absolutely brilliant. Which brings us on to number 1. And the biggest and bestest explorers that just keeps on giving, and we still haven't finished yet. I've still got things on my radar for this place that still needs to be looked at. It was absolutely pleasant, got a lot of feedback, positive comments, and people just love this stuff. It makes me want to go back and do more and show you more so you can enjoy it more. Yeah, the Derwent Valley and Ladybow Reservoir, the things we uncovered there in late summer and into autumn, and every time I went it just kept throwing up something else and something else and something else. If you watch the latest installment where I found that little doorway in the side of Win Hill, got a few answers for that, and I'll be going back, not that side but probably the other end where this does in fact start. That's quite exciting. I need to do a lot more research and digging about that. Right, I'm down at Derwent Hall again, and there's more stuff to show you that we haven't previously looked at. There's more stone walling appeared, and I think we're going to be able to walk around more of the perimeter edge. As I said previously, we're going to light up the cellar as best we can, so I've brought the torch, and we can also see where the stone foundations were that drop down to the River Derwent beside the Lover's Chair. Right, so I got myself on the lover's seat once again because there's something interesting to show you now. The water's dropped just a little bit more. So when we first came, the water was sat around about where that stone ledge was, and you can see it's gone down, gone down, gone down. And then along there is a stone lined wall. You can just make it out all the way there, look. And there's a tree stump coming out the side. That is the course of the River Derwent. I've got a couple of photos I can actually show you. Yes, I am laying down on the lover's seat, but I'm on my own. And it shows you there's a drop, and it's a drop of maybe 7 or 8 feet, and it goes down to where the water's edge is, and obviously the stone wall's been put in to keep the river away from the embankments and the gardens, and potentially during flood causing damage to the Derwent Hall adjacent. So that's it, that is my top 5 for this year. We've got the Mansfield Road Railway Tunnel, we've got Bennerley Viaduct, we've got all those railways around Kirkby and Ashfield and Mansfield. We've of course got the Nottingham Beck culvert that we need to go back and do a bit more of that when the levels have dropped. And of course Lady Bower, Derwent, and all the stuff in Derbyshire. There's so much more to do up there. I really want to do more stuff like the Lady Bower Ashupton Derwent village stuff, where we can retrace and uncover former villages and infrastructure and whatever. I've jumped on now the former railway line headed off up towards Bevercuts. The Bevercuts colliery branch over there is where it joined onto the High Marnham line. You could just make out in the distance 2 white red stop signs. The left hand side one would have been for this very branch, but there's nothing on here now. Up there it'll take you to Boot and Brake Tunnel. It's one of the first videos we ever did up there, and off to the former Bevercuts colliery that closed in 1993, and the last workings went in and out of that a little bit later in 1997. Thank you to absolutely everybody. I hope you have a great new year. Thank you to your support. Again, you can become a channel member. Thank you to all channel members. Thank you to everybody that's supported me. Please comment below any ideas, suggestions. I want to go to more places. I also want to see more stuff in Nottingham, because we've not done much in Nottingham for a very long time. Thank you to all. If you've got a different top 5 or ones that you feel should have been included in that top 5, please pop it down below. Thank you very much. Bye bye.